How we doing, metalers? Welcome back to the Nightmare Cabin. It's a Let's Talk About video tonight, and we're carrying on with our series of Morbid Angel slash Erik Rutan and all related projects. And tonight we are carrying on with the almighty Internecine. I'm pretty obsessed with this band, actually. For a band that only ever put out, I think, 45 minutes worth of material, it's it's pretty thing. I've got a few things to show off at the end. Yeah, not only are we talking about Internecine tonight, this is basically kind of a well, it will be a tribute to Gerard Anderson as well. The a tragic loss with him, but we'll be talking about that as we go on. So, as you know, if you saw the... in fact, that's one thing I want to show you, actually. If you remember, if you watched the Let's Talk About Hate Eternal video, I remembered that I had a 7-inch that I quickly went and had a look for it, but then couldn't find it, and I thought I was taking up too much time. So, I dug this out for you. I'll quickly show this off, just to scratch that itch and say I showed you everything. So, this was... bonus EP that you got if you bought the vinyl from any UK independent stores. I was buying something on Discogs and I noticed this guy was selling this as well. I'd already paid shipping and was buying something else anyway, so I thought I'd pick this up. It's a clear 7-inch, and you've got side A, the Iron Monarch Session and Sons of Darkness demo. I remember as well they said you got a poster with it, and I was pretty underwhelmed when this was with it, because this is the same poster that you get in the CD. But it's a cool little thing to have. I'm glad I've got it. It's a limited edition, so it's worth picking up. Right. So, Internecine. Gerard Anderson was in a band in the 90s with Steve Tucker, and then they split. Apparently it was only going for a few months, and then Steve Tucker formed Ceremony, and then who put out this demo. This is worth picking up if you are a Morbid Angel fan and a Cannibal Corpse fan, because this demo, which now is officially released, Steve Tucker on bass and vocals, Pat O'Brien on guitar, Greg Reed on guitar, and Shannon Purden on drums. And Shannon Purden, so Steve Tucker would go on to do Morbid Angel, Pat O'Brien would obviously go on to join Cannibal Corpse, and Shannon Purden would on drum on this demo. Now, Internecine is it was basically a one-man project, but we'll go into the details of that. But on this 1997 demo, they're actually a 5-piece, interestingly enough. So we'll get to that in a minute. So Steve Tucker goes on to join Morbid Angel, and who were they on tour with? They were on tour with... There was a three-part tour, and it doesn't matter, but Vader were the first support. And they couldn't make it for some reason. They had to cancel, jump off the tour. So for the last 5 shows, Internecine jumped on for main support. So because Steve Tucker was friends with Gerard, he managed to make that happen. Gerard then gelled with Erik Rutan, and that's how he got the gig in Hate Eternal. So Hate Eternal recorded the Conquering the Throne album. And then, if you read that, if you remember the Hate Eternal video, you remember me saying, this is pretty much a double album. They were recorded back to back. This was recorded first, I think, and Gerard writes everything. But Gerard wrote music on a couple of the songs. He even wrote lyrics for 2 of the songs as well. I think it was 2. I'm doing this all from memory, folks, but. Yeah, the point I'm making is, if you are a Hate Eternal fan and you don't have this is just as pivotal to your collection as any of the Hate Eternal releases. And everyone on Hate Eternal, at the time at least, is on this. But we'll let me go back to the beginning and we'll cover that when we get to it. So at first we have this 3-track demo. This is another one of my prized possessions, along with the Hate Eternal and Alas split. There's nothing on the inlay card on the inside. But I believe, from what I've read, it was drummer Sean Purden and Jared Anderson that wrote everything on this. But they're actually a 5-piece on this. Brian Henn on guitars, David Sculf on guitar, and Vince King on vocals. It's a pretty cool demo. I mean, there's a bit of a gap. I mean, this was out in 97. The Internecine album was 2002. But yeah, it's not quite as chaotic as what we're going to get into. It's pretty standard, especially like in terms of tempo. It's not quite as... let's get that focus and get that camera to be less blurry. But it's good. It's good standard fare, really. It's pretty cool. It's straightforward death metal, really. Some great riffs on it. Vocals on it are awesome. It's got to be said. It's a bit of a raw production, but it's not. It's a demo. What more do you want? It's a cool piece of history to have, and I'm really glad I managed to find this and get hold of it. There's a nice clean section at the end of this second track, which is Abomination Recollected. None of the songs on this are re-recorded for the album either. So if you are a fan of that album, it's worth if you can get hold of a copy, but I'm sure it's on YouTube somewhere. But yeah, three songs, pretty standard death metal. What you come to expect, really. Nothing too out the ordinary, but pretty solid and well executed. So then, obviously, it's a bit of a hodgepodge because Jared joins Hate Eternal, but then ends up fronting Morbid Angel. I mean, that's something so many people forget. He was the frontman of Morbid Angel for a time. I mean, that's just crazy. So it was all around the same time, though. So King of All Kings. So for 2001, he was touring with Morbid Angel, recording King of All Kings and the Book of Lambs all pretty much at the same time. Must have been crazy. Plus, Erik Rutan was also recording Alas and whatever production jobs he had at the time. So yeah, that must have been one mental year. So, like I say, you all know about that one. And like I say, this is it's two sides of the same coin. It's two halves, you really do need both of these together. I think they complement each other perfectly. It's more or less the same lineup. Jared Anderson and Erik Rutan split the music writing on this, and like I say, he even wrote some lyrics to it. This is all written by Jared Anderson, apparently. This camera's really pissing me off. Focus. Come on. Right, he'll find its feet. We'll carry on. So, yeah, all the songs are written by Jared Anderson. You got Jared doing... that's one thing I meant to mention as well. On this, Jared just plays bass. If I didn't mention that. Plays bass on Hate Eternal. On this, he does vocals, guitars, and bass. And Tony Loreno does drums on 6 of the tracks. Tony Loreno, if you're a death metal aficionado, you know Acheron, Nile, Angel Corpse, Nephobia, great album. One of the only albums to have a Chuck Schuldiner solo on that wasn't one of his own albums. Another album I paid a fortune for, and then they recently reissued. Gutted. But there you go. So Tony Loreno drums on 6 of the songs, and another 2 songs are Derek Roddy, who was also in Hate Eternal at the time. Erik Rutan produced the album and also did a bunch of solos on it as well. So yeah, I think that's pretty much everything covered. So musically, this is one of my all-time favourite albums, death metal albums, full stop. It's a masterpiece. It really is. And it's so underrated. So many people do not talk enough about this album. Now, it's not the same as Hate Eternal. It's kind of the same but different, if that makes sense. So, in the same way, where I described Hate Eternal was like up front, that first listen, it's just, you're just pummeled. And with repeated listens, the intricacies and the finer details sort of come more to the surface and present themselves. What I said about Hate Eternal was like, you know, as much as all this chaos and brutality is going on, there'll be like a massive, like this epic melodic solo. Same sort of thing with Internecine. They're not quite as majestic, but still quite a lot of hidden complexities and sort of technicalities as well. It's kind of technical, but it's not off-putting. It's not all widdly, you know, for the sake of it. It's not like Atheist or Necrophagist or something like that. It's quite technical played, but overall the way the songs are structured is quite straightforward. But it's death metal, pure and simple. The Elder Gods as well has got when that just kicks off, it's just great. You got some real twisted riffs, some awesome shredding, pummeling drums, as I mentioned. Catchy choruses as well. Well, that's one thing I will say. Internecine tended to have a few more hooks. But yeah, great way to kick off the album. The way the riffs as well, it's like, you know, it's they do these repetitive sort of weird, twisted sort of riffs that are they're repetitive but quite hypnotic as well. It kind of just conjures up this whole descent into madness, I guess. It's best way I can put it. Ceremonies of Deceit is another. This is the first one that Derek Roddy drums on, and the drums are just battering on it. It is literally just straight away. It just hits you. You can tell that's Derek straight away. There's a good sort of Morbid Angel vibe on this one as well, without being too. It's quite apparent as well with what he's writing on this album. It's not like ripping off Morbid Angel, but it's clearly inspired, but it's not just regurgitating it. It's not. It's tasteful, but it's not. I think everyone was influenced by Morbid Angel to some point, some degree. But yeah, you can tell that if he had stayed with Morbid Angel and started writing for him, he would have contributed. He would have been a strong contribution to the songwriting. I think he would have, given him a massive shot in the arm. And I'm just thinking now what Heretic would have turned out like if Gerard Anderson was on it. I really like Heretic. Again, if you watch that video, let's talk about Morbid Angel. You know, there's some hidden gems on that. And yeah, just with some of this, I mean, I don't know if he would have used an Internecine song, but just even if he just put his 2 pence worth in with what Trey was, he would have gelled with them really well. But what could have been, we can dwell on that for years, really. But again, you've got like these wild, twisted riffs. For Thee I Bleed, that's the standout. That is kind of the. That's the first song you're probably going to take away. That's the one. It's really memorable. It's really catchy. As much as it's brutal and just absolutely crazy. Excuse me, son. For Thee I Bleed. You know, and then it goes into that nice quiet bit. It's just crazy, but yeah, that's the one that sticks out, and it's the one that's going to give you the earworm afterwards. But Hallowed Guidance, that is the one. Next track. This is where things break up as well, and it's kind of apparent there's a bit more to them. They're not just a blast fest for the sake of it. This one's quite atmospheric and goes quiet in places. There's a thing where it all kind of breaks down, and it's like, and you just you hear a bit of bass, and then there's this screeching, just crazy riffing. I don't know if it's a riff or a solo, but it's just goes crazy on the guitar, so you know, and it's just, and then all of a sudden, boom, the drums kick in, and I mean drums, it's mental. And there's playing around with some like odd time signatures as well, like you know, and yeah, the way that they fuck about a bit with time signatures on this, man, it's pretty cool. It's a nice little twist that they add in, and I think there's a nice little melodic section at the end of that song as well, if I believe. Yeah, there's like a. It's not like it doesn't like sort of slow down and go quiet and melodic, but there's like some shredding melodic riff at the end, towards the end of that song. But again, it's that little thing that when that hits you, you kind of, that's when it's like, yeah, there's a lot of depth to this album that you might not hit. It might not be apparent on that first listen. It rewards repeated listens, is what I'm getting at here. And the finer details, the complexities, the hidden little gems in it make themselves present with each and every listen. Everything becomes that bit more clearer. Encrypting as well. When I mentioned on my Cannibal Corpse review, where I think it helped that I did the Hate Eternal video before then, because I was just listening to Hate Eternal's back catalogue back to front for about a month before that. So I'd kind of just, I'd got into that headspace, and when I first listened to the new Cannibal Corpse album, when there was bits was like, yeah, that's Erik's solo right there, and he has a certain tone, you know, and there's a solo. Apparently, he does all the leads on this, but he the solo on Encrypting, you straight away like, yep, that's Erik. I don't know if I mentioned actually. There was actually meant to be a vocalist / guitarist on this album, but the recording of this album got moved from February to October, and the guy who was set up to do it couldn't do it. He had to go back to college and graduate. So yeah, recording in October was out the window. So yeah, Jared had to basically step up and do the vocals and guitar as well. And he said in an interview, I'd read a couple of interviews for this. I did a bit of research. Information on this band's pretty scarce, to be honest. And yeah, he said he was glad it turned out that way. It was a blessing in disguise. He was glad he could do it. But I don't know who that person was. He mentioned a couple of times that a vocalist guitarist was in line to do it, but no mention. I don't know if it's the person, anyone that was on the cassette. I don't know. But it worked out all right anyway. And then yeah, the only thing wrong with this album, and it's a fucking small peeve, Hymns of Sanctity. It's like this 30-second interlude at the end. And it's just, it's just a load of voices overlapping each other, and it's just, you're sort of just sitting there going, oh, what was the point of that then? But never mind. That small 30 seconds aside, this album's perfect. Calling of the Holds, the closing track, again, it's just pummeling. It's just perfect. Again, more savage drumming from Derek Roddy. It's kind of hard to, much like a Hate Eternal album, it all just kind of goes, just gels together. And it is only 33 minutes long, but it's a fucking awesome 33 minutes. And like I say, I'll be showing some stuff off in a minute, and you'll be like, yeah, for a band that put out a 33-minute album and a 13-minute demo, I've got quite a bit. But bear with me 1 second. Obviously, there's the Hate Eternal connection as well, but yeah, I just wanted I always try and cover this album when I can, whenever it comes up in discussions, like what's an underrated album. I always try and mention this, and I always try and shed light on Gerard Anderson when I can, because I think the guy really was a talent that just, he hadn't reached his potential. I think death metal really did lose something when he passed. He passed away at no age, and I really feel like the best was yet to come. He hadn't reached his full potential. I mean, all all deaths are tragedies, you know, like, you know, even someone like Jimi Hendrix of the world or whatnot, but they all left a mark. And you know, someone like Chuck Schuldiner, you know, that he had eight albums under his belt. Someone like Dimebag Darrell, you know, if I could click them all back, I would. But at least we had like a back catalogue to remember by. With Jared, you just got a glimpse. You know, it based on the first two Hate Eternal albums, and then oh shit, and then this, and you just think, you know, the best was yet to come. I don't think he had made his. I think you get what I'm getting at here. It's just a shame. It really is a shame. The best was yet to come with this guy, and he was an amazing talent. And this stuff that he was written on here is just fucking crazy. So yeah, I mean, I've interviewed Steve Tucker, and I've interviewed Erik, and both were very, very passionate when it came to speaking about Jared Anderson. I think they were glad as well that he was brought up. But yeah, poxy microphone. Steve Tucker spoke very fondly of him, and Erik as well. You know, he you can tell it still cuts him up to this day that with what happens, and you know, he said I was very fortunate that everything he'd done I was involved with, and he always tries to keep the flag flying and the flame burning and keep him remembered. And obviously he does a fantastic tribute to him on the Fury and Flames album. So yeah, Jared, this is to you. I wish I could have met you. I wish you could have done more, but your memory lives on in the music that you did leave behind, and you achieved a lot more than most. Like I say, the guy was in fucking Morbid Angel, for God's sake. That's crazy. So yeah, definitely, if you've not heard it, trust me, folks, this is the best death metal album you haven't heard. And you can get it really easy as well. You can get it for next to nothing on Amazon, and it's a fantastic piece of work. I've tried separating the tracks out as much as I can, but it's just a real fantastic listen for half hour. And like I say, it's utter brutality up front, but it rewards repeated listens, and those little finer details just make themselves present with each listen. With each listen, it gets more melodic in a weird way. And yeah, if you're into Nile, if you're into Hate Eternal, you know, if you're into that utter devastation when it comes to Vitriol, was a newer band, I think, following this band's footsteps. Deeds of Flesh. Let me think of another band. Got one on the tip of my tongue. I just thought of it. Christian, even. You know, you get the picture. But yeah, if you want real cool, well written, well structured, beautifully complex, beautifully woven death metal in its most brutal, distilled form, this is for you, definitely. So, yeah, go get it. I'm going to show you off a few other bits as well. I showed you the demo, so I'm really happy I got hold of that. Feels like I've owning a piece of history there. It's a good little 13 minutes, and I'm just glad to have it. Really chuffed to have been able to get hold of a copy of it. Here's your standard edition. The the CD's in the CD player. Oh, that's another thing. If you're in the gym, fucking play this. If you're doing weights, this will help you get through that 9, 10. You know that bit when you get that crunch. Yep, this will get you through it. Trust me. Right, I've got a promo copy, which I the hidden gems you can find on Discogs is amazing. There's not much in the booklet, to be honest. It's just lyrics and whatnot. There's no photos or anything. But yeah, the CD looks the same. But yeah, I've got this pretty cool press release. See that? Do you want me to read it out to you? I might as well, mightn't I? An incredibly high level of musicianship, yeah. Mind-blowing mixture of brutality, technique, and variation. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Be prepared for the most extreme death metal album to be released in 2002. That was a bit cheeky, wasn't it? Hate Eternal's King of All Kings came out in 2002. With Internecine, Gerard Anderson, also of Morbid Angel and Hate Eternal, sets a new standard when it comes to combining relentless aggression and technical perfection. This review's better than mine. Having worked on these songs, for more than 5 years, he decided the time has finally come to release them upon mankind. Since he wrote all the music and lyrics, it was nothing more than obvious, and Gerard wanted to play as many instruments himself. That's a bit of a lie. He had a vocalist guitarist set up. Only inviting Tony Loreno, Angel Corpse Nile, and Derek Roddy, Hate Eternal, to play drums, Erik Rutan to enrich the album with guest solos. All other guitar, bass, and vocal parts were done by Gerard himself. So if you like your music extreme, technical, and above all aggressive, be sure not to miss out this album. So yeah, there you go again. That's the. And I know what you all want to see, because that's what you YouTubers want. You want to look at the vinyl, don't you? So here it is. Like I say, I've got not for a band that hasn't even done an hour's worth of material. I'll just keep buying it again and again. But yeah, I started collecting vinyl not that long ago actually, and just having a look, and I thought, yes, this has got to be not much different to the CD. Actually, it's not. I think that artwork is cool as well. Yeah, you got lyric sheet there, and the vinyl is just black. I mean, I'd love to do like some sort of reissue of this. If this is your first video, I've mentioned before, but I did liner notes for reissues of Surface by Mortal Skull and The Will to Kill by Malevolent Creation. If they put this out with the demo, maybe some unreleased bits and bobs, who knows what there is, I'd love to do liner notes for that. That'd be awesome. Putting it out there, you never know who watches. And then the logo there that's on the CD on the other side. So yeah, Internecine, you've got to check them out. And if you already know them, I think you'll agree that they're criminally underrated. They don't get enough attention today. And yeah, like you say, I think if you've got this album, you'll know what a gem it is. So yeah, like I say, rest in power, Gerard Anderson. We'll be carrying on the series next with Alas. After that, I'll probably do Steve Tucker's Warfather, and I'll be doing Nocturnus as well. So that's all Morbid Angel covered at that point. Oh, of David Vincent as well. I might do Vlatmus or whatever it's called. If you want me to. If you do, let me know in the comments. And in the description as well, I did a tribute piece to Gerard Anderson for brutalism.com. I'll put that in there as well if you want to have a read of that. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching, everyone. I hope I did Gerard proud with this. Want to put out there, and try and shed some light on this album as much as I can. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give us one of them. It makes the world of difference. And subscribe if you're new to the channel. And if you are, welcome aboard. And yeah, thanks very much for watching. Take care, guys. I'll see you next time.